I want the whole world to understand the magnificence of the art that's been created. If you can even conceptualize music through art, I would say I hear music in her art. My name is Nansen. Kristin Saleri is my mother. Ever since childhood, I knew and I felt that my mother was very special. I became more and more aware of her artistic background. There was something unusual about my mother. She had a very, very strong and at the same time attractive personality. She was always the magnet in any setting. She would be the center of conversations. And then as I started growing up, particularly once I started moving into my teenage years, I was captivated by the color, the harmony, and there was a musical quality to her paintings. Same way there was a musical, harmonious attribute associated with her mixed media events, the charcoals, later ceramics.
She was the first woman abstract artist in Turkey. People were still painting florals and still lifes. And then here comes Matisse and Picasso, and those influences on her, you can see in her work, or Chagall. You can see some of the different works in her cubism. And then just the way she portrayed light and movement in her dancers. The dancers are moving off the paper. She sets her own style, just like Picasso did in Chagall and Matisse. You can look at a Picasso and know that's a Picasso. As you see her work, you can identify her work as this is a Kristin Saleri.
Around 2013, I received a call from Larry Balakian.
Michelle Thomas, she is the photographer for the Kristin Saleri book. The minute I saw the book, I said, we have to do something.
And move forward 3 years. And this exhibit is a major milestone in the discovering Kristin Saleri journey.
And it is discovering her because, you know, when she died, she looked at her son and said, what will happen to my paintings?
And I said, Mom, please don't worry. I'll make sure that you will forever live. I'm going to make you as famous as Van Gogh.
Kristin Saleri, over her lifetime, produced over 3,000 works of art. With the 3,000 pieces of work, you are working almost every day. And plus she raised a family. She had 2 sons and a daughter and a husband. If you paint that profusely, you've got to have some confidence. And when you look at her self-portraits, she is very confident. She has got this, as she wrote in Turkish on one of her portraits, this is when I thought I was big. And she was 17.
And my interest was in her materiality, the way in which she handled paint, her activities on canvas, the way she distributed her pigment, the feeling of entropy that one had, the plumbing of the soul. When you look at her work, there's that immediacy and energy in a sense of light as something spiritual ripping through the canvases.
Her influence was by many people, but she finally narrowed it down into this abstract. I call it a moving abstract because there's lots of activity and movement in her work. It's not like a still life. There's like energy that is in her work as she's painting. You'll see how she either is her stroking or how she's digging into the painting and exposing a color that's underneath. There's always something exciting happening in her work.
The work gives like an onion's peel, its skin, layers of meaning over the greatest period of time.
My mother's work represents life in different forms and shapes and meanings. So whenever you look at her paintings, whenever you look at her sketches or ceramics, you see a form of life. Sometimes it's happiness, sometimes it's sadness, sometimes it's musicality, a lot of times it's harmony. It's bonding with Mother Earth, it's bonding with fellow humans, it's crossing cultural boundaries and being very bold.
The physical nature of her work, the way the background and foreground interpenetrate each other is lyrical. There's a sense of poetry through the rhythm. Her colors have a progressiveness that allows the viewer's eye to be led through the narratives. I like the way the narratives melt and become intuitive. The viewer brings to bear, like with any good imagism or post-symbolistic modalities of painting, the viewer is asked to bring to the painting conclusions.
As I look at her work, I'm moved by the fact that she did not follow any particular school. She wasn't trying to be in any sort of vanguard or arty movement. This is a woman whose art obviously came straight from her soul to the canvas. She's trying to speak about something that her heart and hands and brush don't know what else to do but speak the language of color on the canvas. This was a pioneer. She was born in the year of the genocide and overcame all the prejudices that Armenians suffered in Turkey at that time over many decades to emerge as a major artist and someone who still held in her heart, obviously, a fondness for her home country, which was Turkey. The work itself seems to spring naturally from the soil of Anatolia, and in that process, it imparts to that art great power.
The most important thing about this show is the story it tells of Kristin Saleri.
It's more than an artistic realization of a person's capabilities. It's the realization of a dream. Everything that's created in the form of beautiful expressions belong to humanity in general.
And she's done as much variety and new work that is cutting edge for the times that she should be right there next to Picasso.
There is an obligation of sharing that common heritage with humanity. If it only stays within my house, on my walls, I feel like I'm robbing the greater community from that beauty.